knocked away. Marshall, Clark to the rim. An 11-0 Iowa run. As one of the arena cameramen got hit there after the bucket, and the officials stopped play.
Right here, this is Caitlin Clark all on her own, jumping out to double team. She sensed that she could get the steals, that she could create some havoc, and she did, and got the layup the other way. And let's go.
Gabby Marshall approves.
I drive a very nice car. It's very fast, very shiny. But sadly, it's not built for the famous
Knocked away, Marshall, Clark, to the rim. An 11-0 Iowa run. As one of the arena cameramen got hit there after the bucket, and the officials stopped play.
Right here, this is Caitlin Clark all on her own, jumping out to double team. She sensed that she could get the steals, that she could create some havoc, and she did, and got the layup the other way. Let's go.
Gabby Marshall approves.
I drive a very nice car. It's very fast, very shiny. But sadly, it's not built for the famous Aussie lifestyle. And I love the famous Aussie lifestyle. I love the fashion. I love the food. But mainly, I like to drive here. So this is my second car. Designed for my second home, Australia. Bike rack, rod holders, roof racks, thong storage, built-in pie oven, freshwater shower. Oh, hey Barrow. Valtteri is having a little shower too. Budgie Smuggler drying system. BRS, buck reduction system. Mullet aeration technology. Check this out. That's a bird. I'm going to be busy racing my first car. So I put this baby on Uber Carshare. You can rent it for free because I am very rich already. Australia's home of second cars. Valtteri will miss you.
I refuse to walk away from the fight.
Okay. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston, now McLaren, all have a speed on the straights. Our shot is battling in the turns. We need to build our car for combat.
How am I supposed to make that safe?
Who said anything about safe?
Make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. Kicking your flying all over the place, singing, we will rock you. Singing, we will rock you. Everybody, we will rock you. We will rock you.
Austin Dillon with a playoff spot on the line, with your season on the line. Was that a fair move?
I don't know, man. It's been 2 years, and this is the first car I've had with a shot to win. You know, I felt like with 2 to go, we were the fastest car. Obviously, had to have a straightaway, and Ricky wrecked the guy. I hate to do that, but sometimes you just got to have it, and I got to thank the good Lord above. It's been tough over the last 2 years, man, and I care about RCR and these fans, and my wife, and this is my first for my baby girl. It means a lot. It is, I hate it, but I had to do it.
You can see the emotion for you and what this means to you and RCR. What did you say to yourself going down the backstretch? What were you willing to do to put it in the playoffs?
Whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
What is it with you and walk-off wins? You did it at Daytona a few years ago. You do it here with 4 races left in the regular season to put the 3 car into the playoffs.
We just never give up, and man, we have great partners in Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops, Poet, Jeff Broyne. I can't thank all the people enough that help this team, Cynics Tools, but yeah, you just got to get it done sometimes.
You got sideways. That's why I said just. I said cook up and too good. And you guys. That's too hot. Apparently
it's okay. Apparently you can jump from 5 car lengths back and completely wreck someone, and then wreck another one to the line, and we're gonna call that racing.
Should NASCAR take that away?
Yeah, they won't.
Did you think that was coming, Joey?
No, I mean, when you get like that far back ahead, that's 3 to 4 car lengths ahead in the 3. Didn't even back at the entry. I was like, I just wrap the bottom here, I'm good. And he just drives in so hard. Obviously, he didn't make the turn because he hit me, and then the 11 was going to win the race. So he had no intentions to race. I beat him fair and square on the restart, and he just pulls a chicken shit move. He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He sucked his whole career, and now he's going to be in the playoffs, and good for him, I guess.
If NASCAR doesn't do something and you guys decide to maybe do something back, is that unfair? Because then they would punish the retaliation.
Out of the car. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know it's ridiculous, and it's you can't stand for it. Like I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Honestly, I think about it, but you can't let shit like that.
Stay bottom, come over, stay in it, stay in it, stay in it, stay in it, stay outside, outside, outside. Come into the center here. Hold on to it, hold on to it. Good. I mean, he KO'd us to win. Are you all right? Jesus Christ, what a joke.
fucking bullshit.
Yeah, are you okay? That fucking piece of shit wrecked us to win. 100% absolutely tried to kill you to win.
Did he just turn down and hook me in the right rear?
I'll have to see another replay. That's what I saw live. I mean, he obviously shipped the 22 for starters, and I haven't seen a replay.
They're talking about the score in theirs. See what they say. Are you okay? You need anything when you get out?
Yeah, just some point it's racing or it's wrestling. I don't know which. You know, at some point we got to decide.
They say that 3 is declared the winner, but I guess right rear and somebody now. Does it matter like it used to?
Yeah, I crashed.
All right, Delta. Andy, Delta 11. Hold tight, still cars coming. You okay?
All right, NASCAR, you better do something about it. That's a joke. That is a joke, NASCAR.
I see 11 up here. He's on the bottom. Track's clear.
Better do something about that. That's a joke. Don't do anything. Get the fucking circus. It's a circus right there if you give this guy the win. What a circus. Where's that motherfucker at? Do anything. It doesn't matter. It's up to NASCAR to make the right call here. It's up to NASCAR, not you, Joey. Don't do a thing.
Finish is under review.
The NASCAR to do the right thing here. Don't you do a thing. Demolition Derby, or are we racing here?
3 is the winner. They just confirmed it.
What a joke. This is a joke.
Start your
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to Drafting the Circus, presented by Sinister One Productions. My name is Frank Santorowski. I'll be your host for the next hour as we talk about everything racing. Joining me in the studio, Richard Yeadon. Richard, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Excellent.
So we're back after our Olympic break, and while most of the racing world also took a break, so do we. Congratulations to all the folks from the various countries who brought medals back from the Olympics. But heck, man, we're back to racing. NASCAR was in action in Richmond this past weekend, and my original headline for the show was Austin Dillon crashes his way into the playoffs. But some news that dropped earlier today, we'll have to abbreviate that to Austin Dillon crashes his way to the win because the playoffs are now, that berth is off the table for him. due to penalties for actions on the track. I think they use the typical actions detrimental to NASCAR as the reasoning for that there. So, but in a nutshell, Austin Dillon, who Richard is not high on your friends list, but you have, you know him relatively well. You guys used to work together. And of course, one of the drivers he took out was one of your drivers, Denny Hamlin's Toyota driver. He also took out Joey Logano to vault himself from third to first in the closing moments of the race in overtime. And then his comments were, well, I hated to have to do it that way, but heck, it's the playoffs, right? Because here's a guy who's, no realistic shot of getting into the playoffs on points. Must win. He's been what, Richard? 2 years and change since he's smelled victory lane.
Well, since he's won a race on outright pace, I think it's about 30. But no. I mean, I think it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been almost 18 months for the organization as a whole since Kyle Busch won in St. Louis last year. So, I don't know if you want to dive straight into it, Frank, but I think it's if that late race caution hadn't come out, Austin would have won the race quite comfortably. He had a 2 or 3 seconds lead, and you'd have taken your hat off to them and begrudgingly, in my case, said, well done. You had a quick car. They were fastest in practice on I think it was Friday or Saturday. They obviously hit on a setup with this new option tire that NASCAR was running. And fair play to them. They made a quick hot rod and they got the job done. Apart from that, isn't how it works out. So late race caution, fair play to the pit crew. They got Austin out in front, but Austin has never been particularly good at restarts. It's never been one of his strong points. And with that green-white checker, Joey got the jump on him. Joey, he's better at restarts and got a good restart, got ahead of him cleanly, didn't put him in, didn't turn him, didn't move him out of the way, nothing. He got a better restart. And, we came to the white flag and we come to, a third of the last lap to go entering turn 3. And, on initial, when everybody looks at it first off, you think, God, that's a, what was the word Logano used? Chicken shit move or something.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It's not a good look for the sport. It's not a good look for anybody to drive that way. But to my mind, the sport has enabled this. With this playoff rule that we have now and how that's structured, basically Austin didn't have a choice. He had to do that. I think he was almost last in the point standing of all the full-time drivers. So that tells you something you need to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, what other choice did he have? It's the old saying, it's better to seek forgiveness than permission. And if Austin had been in the points, or if Austin had already won a race and been in the playoffs, he wouldn't have done that. He would have said, yeah, bummer, that one got away from me. Well played, Joey. Good restart. Let's shake hands. Let's move on to Michigan. But Austin is under so much pressure to get the result there because of the way the playoffs are structured that he didn't have a choice. It's a vicious thing, isn't it? I not that my opinion counts for anything, but I'm disappointed in what he did, but don't blame him for doing it. I think he would have probably got more criticism internally if he hadn't done it. So then you look at it, and
he was egged on by his spotter. His spotter,
yeah, I mean, his spotter was geez, if that guy doesn't get fired by RCR, that's a really bad statement. That was so unprofessional and so amateur hour. I've worked with a lot of spotters and know some of them reasonably well, and that was disgraceful behaviour. And he's got. I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't been suspended through the rest of the season. To tell you the truth, I think a 3-race suspension is pretty lenient for that. It wasn't a good look. Austin said, "Oh, he turned into a fan there." Yeah, well, he's not paid for that. He's paid to be a spotter at the highest level of stock car racing in the world. So put your big boy pants on and do your job. Don't act like that. If you want to grab a guy who's drunk 15 Bud Lights out of turn 3, grandstand, and have at it. It's not a good look. Not a good look. That annoyed me. That was for me. That was the biggest thing. Austin had to do what he had to do. Was it right? No. Is the penalty fair? Pretty close, I think. They could have been stricter. They could have been a little bit more lenient, but I think they got it about right. And I know RCR are going to appeal it, but they ain't going to win that. I don't think. I know it's great because everyone says, "Oh, it gets attention to NASCAR," and people talk about NASCAR. Yeah, of course it does. But at some point, you've got to take a stand. Everybody's complaining about NASCAR's viewing figures being diminished. But then you look at other series in the world that are doing well. Formula One, prime example, its viewing base has increased massively in the last few years. That sort of stuff, never comes anywhere near. I mean, God forbid, if you tried that in Formula One, you'd be, you'd be suspended for ages, for months probably. So I think that NASCAR made the right decision. They've made an example of it. You can't do that. I don't know if anybody out there has seen it, but Greg Biffle did a really good sort of 30-second, minute-long YouTube short video that was posted a couple of days ago. And he said that moving somebody, there's an art form to moving somebody, especially on a short track. You get behind them, you tap him on the bumper, you tap him in just the right spot, and they move up a lane, and you can go through and take the spot. I don't have a problem with that. That's the nature of stock car racing. It's a contact sport. That is a contact.
Yeah, I believe that was Biffle's exact words. He said, our sport's always been a contact sport, and he said, it takes zero talent to wreck somebody, but
exactly.
to move somebody takes some skill. Yeah,
exactly. He said, moving somebody is a skill, wrecking somebody is not. NFL's a contact sport, but you can still get fouled for a horse collar.
Oh, absolutely.
I was going to use ice hockey as an example, but that was that's probably not a good example. But there are contact sports out there, but they still have limits because there is a boundary, a line that they consider appropriate to the sport, and they failed. He overstepped those bounds, so he needs to pay the price. And
yeah. Funny thing is, if it was 25, 30 years ago, there's Dale Earnhardt in that 3 car, people be cheering all the way to the bank.
I don't think Dale did that, though. I don't think Dale did that. I don't think he drove.
I recall numerous occasions of Dale doing. He's had a couple of run-ins with Terry Labonte.
But were they as blatant, though? Is that maybe that's the word? Were they as blatantly aggressive, or were they, pushing the boundaries?
Seems to me like some of those blatantly aggressive. But then again, the sport was very different then. The world was very different then. So. But and again, the whole comparing eras is difficult to do. So, but at the end of the day, see, one of your original points, I highly agree with you that I'm not a fan of the win and you're in aspect of the playoffs, because it allows for a guy who is floundering well at the back of the points to get lucky on a particular weekend, and then potentially take a spot away from a guy who's had a great season, but just happened to not be able to find victory lane in the first 2/3 of the season. So, but it is what it is. It's the rules that we have to work with, and for what it's worth, NASCAR took the opportunity to rescind that part of the thing for Dillon. So,
do you think that? So, I was thinking about this today. Do you think that NASCAR will look at this and say, okay, we're just going to put it on top 16 in points? Give bonuses for wins in terms of points. Maybe make a win more.
Yeah.
Make I don't know the exact point structure in NASCAR, but if it's at the moment a 10-point bonus for winning, make it a 25-point bonus. So encourage people to win, but don't put them in a position where, because fundamentally, so putting your hypothetical hat on, if it was a points-based playoff system and, we had this situation and Dillon was 30th in points or whatever he's been prior to this, would he have made that desperate lunge to win the race? I don't think it'd have been quite so aggressive. I think he'd have still tried to move Joey, but I don't think he would have been so aggressive because there wouldn't have been, even if he'd won the race, he'd have gone from 30th to 20th or whatever, he still wouldn't have made the playoffs. And, vice versa, if you're in the playoffs, you're like, yeah, okay, let's let it go.
Yeah. If you win Daytona at the start of the season, you're good. You can ride out until the last 10, 12 races. So,
yep.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think NASCAR is gonna look at restructuring the playoffs anytime soon, but you never know. NASCAR occasionally changes their rules on a whim. So
yeah.
And then, of course, the other person getting a penalty out of the deal is Joey Logano, who picked up a $50,000 fine for spinning his tires on a very crowded pit lane, a very dangerous situation there. If you watch the in-car video from Joey, a lot of, in my mind, there are probably more people on pit road than there should have been. But either way, you should be coming very, very slow, to a crawl on that pit lane, not revving your engine and spinning the tires. Certainly
100%.
Nothing, could be worse than a spectator or a journalist or a crew member being hit in the pit lane after the race and injured. So,
100%, yeah.
Good job on NASCAR for calling that out as well. So, well, the other NASCAR news this week involves Legacy Motorsport.
Yeah.
Motorsport Club has retained Erik Jones, multi-year contract, a couple of years. And this is a team that I feel is improving. I know they're not where they would like to be at the moment. Jones has actually had some good runs here and there, but I feel like they, they've got nowhere to go but up. And I think that keeping the same driver in there for them is a good move. I think Erik is a very good talent, and I believe he meshes well with the team there. So, Richard, you know a bit more about that than I. So, how are things going over there at Legacy?
Yeah, I do. I work there. I'm actually going to be there tomorrow, helping them out with a few things. But I do work quite close with those guys, and obviously it's a big change. Going from a team that had, I dare say, very little support from Chevy and GM in the past, to a team that we as Toyota are trying to support quite aggressively. It's good for the Toyota brand to have three teams at the sharp end of the grid. That's what we got them in for, and they're still in that growing stage. They've hired a number of people. They've had a bit of a management restructure in the last few weeks. A couple of very experienced engineers from the NASCAR world that have moved to LMC. A couple of people with a background in the Toyota family, so hopefully that'll help them gel and pick up the missing pieces, if you like, from where they've been missing out on the support that Toyota can offer. And the one thing I will say about them is every one of them, to a man and woman, is extremely enthusiastic and extremely dedicated and have a real desire to be successful there. There's no there's no attitudes, there's no egos, there's no they just want to do well and they want to work hard and they put the effort in, and they're so enthusiastic about it. And to have a guy like Erik, I know there's been a few rumors going around the last few weeks that he was maybe looking to move somewhere else, but Erik's a solid driver. He's really, really good, and he's good for the team. He brings that continuity. Having John Hunter there on the other side of the garage is another bonus for him. I think I've got all the time in the world for John Hunter. I think he's a great kid. He's one of the guys that when he comes into the office, he doesn't like skulk off into the crew chief's office or go and hide somewhere out of the way. He'll come around and he'll talk to every engineer, every mechanic, everybody on the shop floor. He'll see how they're doing. He's really, and that makes a huge difference. I wish more drivers would be like that, but there is certainly no attitude with him. He's top class. I got it all the time in the world for John Hunter, and I'd love to see him improve with the team and start moving further up the grid. They've got, as I say, for me, one of the biggest things in anything you do is attitude, and they've certainly got the right attitude.
All right, so I just got a snippet of evidently Kurt Busch got a DUI somewhere. Right before we came on the air, somebody had an email. I didn't get a chance to read the link, but whenever I see something like this, a high-profile person getting a DUI, I'm like, you've got some money in the bank. Pay somebody to drive you around if you want to go out and have a few drinks. But far be it for me to judge. But not a good look for Kurt. And again, I don't know any details. So we're off to Michigan. And as we look at the playoff field, there's still a couple of high-profile guys there that really could use a win. Namely, like our friend Martin Truex. And Michigan's a track that kind of favors his style. What do you think about Michigan, Richard?
It's probably on the height of the fastest probably one of the fastest tracks on the NASCAR calendar. It's not a restrictor plate. I think they're going to be pushing 200 miles an hour out there, and it's unique track in that way. And I love it. It's one of those tracks I really enjoy watching the racing at, because these guys are on the edge all the time, and there's no margin for error out there. And as you say, some of the guys in and around the playoffs, they're going to start looking at a little bit closer. Obviously, you saw with obviously the outcome of this Austin Dillon situation, it brings people like Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher back into play. I think they're tied on points at the cutoff for the playoffs now. So
they haven't won yet. Yeah,
I think there's 12. I think there's 12 guys with wins. So I think there's 4 playoff spots available for drivers without a win right now. So it's getting a little tight back down there. I think Martin Truex is probably locked in. I think he'd have to have a pretty, 3 brand new winners and something pretty catastrophic to go wrong for him not to make the playoffs in his final season as a Cup driver. But obviously, you want to get that win. You want to lock it in. And this is the time of the year, especially for these guys on that bubble. If you can get a win and get a little bit of momentum going between now and the first couple of rounds of the playoffs, you can really have a push for it. I mean, I think we looked last year. I think it was Chris Buescher did that. He didn't really do much all of 2023, and then he won a couple of races just before the playoffs, and it really pushed him on and gave him a little bit of momentum going to the playoffs.
One of those races was at Michigan. Now that I think about it,
yeah, I think he may have run Richmond and Michigan. I think so. It's getting to an interesting time of the year. The guys in the playoffs are probably trying a few different setups and trying a few different car configurations just to see how they react going into the playoffs. And looking ahead now, they just want to get through the next 3 races relatively unscathed. Obviously, a good result helps the morale and helps the momentum. But it's this is the time when these guys earn their money. So let's see what they can do. Excuse me.
All right, so off to Michigan. So let's turn our focus to INDYCAR for a little bit, where the news over the break was Wallace and Canapino is now no longer in the series. This comes following situation back in June, July, where he had a run-in with Carshare, and again we had the social media outburst from his fans. And Canapino took a weekend off at Road America for his mental health, and then after that, the 3 races he's run since having to take that little break, he finished like 25th, 26th, 27th. At the very bottom of the order. So. During this Olympic break, they decided to part ways. I don't know if it was mutually or otherwise, but it will be Connor Daly in that car for the remainder of the year. And with the main goal for them is that car is 22nd in points right now, which is the last spot available for the Leaders Circle money that will be paid out at the end of the season, towards next season. So they've got to maintain that 22nd or improve on it. And with Canapino running at the very back of the order, that ain't going to cut it. Now, Connor Daly, you figure of the 5 remaining races, 4 of those are on ovals. Daly performs rather well on the ovals there. He's always performed well in Indianapolis. He's had some good runs at Iowa. Daly, I mean, here's a guy with, no employment for a couple of years, and yet he manages to keep working just by making himself available. I've talked to Connor back in May, before he was running the 500, and I asked him, I said, what else he got lined up for this year? He goes, absolutely nothing. I got 1 truck race on my calendar. Well, since then he's filled in for Jack Harvey at Coyne. He's done a couple of Xfinity races, done an ARCA race, did that truck race, and now he's going to finish out the INDYCAR season with Juncos. So, you gotta
not terrible.
Gotta admire the guy for, number one, being versatile and just being available and willing to accept whatever offer comes his way to get himself out there. So. And I feel pretty strongly that, he's not going to set the world on fire, but I feel pretty strongly he'll be able to maintain that points position or definitely or probably even improve on it a few spots. So I think that's a good move on the part of Juncos. There's a couple other guys out there that maybe could have reached out to, but Daly being the obvious choice. He's already got 2 races under his belt this year, so he's fairly fresh. So there you go. Then the other big news was David Malakus, who's had an interesting roller coaster.
Yeah,
he's back. Yeah, well, he signed with McLaren, broke his wrist, lost his McLaren ride, was picked up by Meyer-Shank, and announced this week that next year he's actually signed a multi-year deal with AJ Foyt Racing, which has a technical alliance with Penske, and that's the fact that that's going on there. I mean, that shows that Santino Ferrucci is 10th in points at the moment, which is the highest Foyt car has been in points since about 2008, I think. So the Penske Alliance is definitely helping them.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Malakus's dad is Crazy Rich. Henry Malakus, he, has an NXT team where they field like 8 or 10 cars, but he's made it clear that he's not bankrolling his son's career anymore. So this is a paying gig. AJ Foyt is paying Malakus for his services. He's not bringing funding to the team. So, and some folks are speculating this is a stepping stone to a Penske ride. Well, I mean, a lot of folks are jumping the gun. They're already putting him in a Penske and retiring Will Power out. Like, okay, that's a bit premature.
Why do we put him in an Andretti Formula One car? Well, read it.
Yeah, why don't we? I mean, kid's still got a lot to prove. You know what I mean? He's obviously got some talent. He's had some good runs, but yeah, he's not ready to jump in a Penske. And as far as people wanting to retire Will Power out at the end of next season, come on. Will Power is won 2 races this year. He's second in points. He's as competitive as he's ever been. I don't see him walking away anytime soon. I mean, he's a year younger than Dixon, and I don't see Dixon going anywhere either. So before we decide to put Will out to pasture and put Malakus in the Penske car, let's see how he does for Foyt. Now, of course, the question is who's leaving at Foyt? Obviously, the smart money would be to keep Santino Ferrucci. He's performed quite well.
Yeah, he's done very well. Yeah.
But his teammate Stingray Robb, despite the lack of performance, brings much needed funding to the team. So, do you or does Foyt run 3 cars, with an assist from Penske? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's because IndyCar is headed towards this charter system where the teams will be maxed out to having 3 charters apiece. And on the heels of that, the hot story in the paddock is that Meyer-Shank Racing is set to announce a technical alliance with Chip Ganassi. Chip, of course, running 5 cars this year, and Meyer-Shank running 2. But the thought is that one of the Ganassi drivers will move over to Meyer-Shank, or maybe even 2 of their drivers, now that they have an open seat with Malakus going to Foyt. And technically the 4th Ganassi car will be Meyer-Shank car. So there's that. That's interesting. And although and Penske says that they have no designs on running 4 cars, they feel they operate well as a 4-car team. They have said that they kind of look at their alliance with AJ Foyt as a driver development program. So maybe they are keeping an eye on Malakus. I don't know. So that's all to see how that unfolds in the coming couple of seasons. Otherwise, we've got 4 races left. All ovals except Portland. We've got Gateway. Got 2 races at Milwaukee, and then season ender in Nashville Super Speedway. So you got to look at the rest of the season there. You figure Palou got a pretty healthy lead in the championship, but Power's right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's within.
And you imagine that Power would, on average, be better at the ovals than Palou.
I say that the Penske team is better on average at the ovals than the rest of the grid.
Yeah.
Pretty much the Penske's have won the bulk of the oval races over the last couple of years. with Newgarden winning a bunch of them. Although these past two at Iowa were split between Power and McLaughlin. So so it's good opportunity for this championship to tighten up a little bit. Now, Palou does perform well on ovals. We've seen him have some very good runs in Indianapolis. He was in the running to win that thing until he collided with in the pits with VK the one year, and the year prior to that, I believe he ran second in the race. So he's not a slouch there, but he does not have an oval win to his credit.
No.
So
True.
So
True.
To tighten up, I still got to say advantage Palou just because.
I think so. Yeah,
he's got the lead number 2. This guy doesn't throw any races away.
No.
You know what I mean? If he's going to finish third or fourth, he'll finish third or fourth. He won't take the unnecessary risk to, to try to push the issue. He's very smart. When it comes to that, finishing
it is difficult, isn't it? You look at that sort of 3 or 4 guys that you think are going to be thereabouts. I think it's difficult to pick a clear winner, isn't it?
Absolutely. An IndyCar any given week is difficult to pick a clear winner.
I mean, geez, what the heck? Let's go with Palou. Let's say, screw it. Let's go with Palou. After everything we've been saying.
Now, what's a McLaughlin said after he won at Iowa? He goes, now I can finally call myself an IndyCar driver because I've won an oval.
Yeah.
With 2 chips. Can't call himself an IndyCar driver yet, right? So,
Yeah.
All right. So, speaking of Palou, there's some rumors linking him to Audi. I think those are very, very weak rumors. If you kind of dig through the source material, the link to the original article and the one before that, I think it comes down to a couple of journalists speculating, and one of them said, Palou would be a good. I don't think there's any evidence of Audi speaking to Palou or his management or Palou speaking with them. But a writer's got to write, and
of course they do.
Got to get your clicks. Get your clicks 66. So, but that's a good segue into Formula One, where we are in the traditional summer break. So let's shake it. Formula One. Anything exciting? I do believe that I heard Sergio Perez will retain his Red Bull seat.
Yeah, so we had the Spa race since we last were on air, and obviously we had the disqualified winner in George Russell there. First disqualified Formula One winner since, I think we were Schumacher in '94 again at Spa. So it's been, his car came back underweight. We were imagining there'd be a lot of talk about Sergio Perez's future, and Red Bull did have a big staff or a management meeting, should we say, the day after or the Monday after Spa, and they were picking who's going to be their driver for the remainder of the year at Red Bull, and who looking forward, obviously Perez has that contract through to the end of 2026 or 2025, sorry. And he started the season reasonably well, but the last half dozen races have been pretty poor. And considering the rate at which McLaren are catching Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship, you could argue that they need two drivers out there to pick up as many points, and Perez just fundamentally isn't doing that. So, a little bit surprised that they didn't shake things up. I mean, even I think Helmut Marko came out today and said that if Ricciardo had driven better with Red Bull, Racing Bulls or whatever they're called now, RB, then he may well have got the nod to move up. But they said his performances have been too inconsistent against Yuki Tsunoda to warrant that promotion back to the main team, which it's probably not too unfair, because I think even in Ricciardo's own admission, he hasn't set the world on fire. So yeah, it was a little bit not an anticlimax. I still think that if there was a better option there, Perez would be out. I think he's really struggled to find his form and find his his mojo, if you like, in recent months, never mind recent weeks. So, and I've also seen Carlos Sainz commit to a 2-year plus contract to Williams, which is quite a coup for the Williams team and James Vowles, who's the team principal there. I think he's done a real good job there in the last 18 months that he's been in charge of the team. And, I think Sainz going there will be a real lift for the team. It'll be shows, Sainz wasn't short of offers, he, hang on. Oh, goodness me, excuse me. Good grief. Oh, my God. Sorry about that, everybody. He had an offer from Alpine, he had an offer from Audi, and he picked arguably the least attractive on paper, Williams, because I firmly believe that James Vowles sold him the future of what Williams will be and what he can achieve there and what they can achieve as a group. And I think there's some real belief in what they can do as an organization. So a lot of good coming out of that. What else have we seen in that time period? Esteban Ocon's been confirmed at Haas. Ollie Behrman's been confirmed at Haas. So Haas has got a new driver lineup. It looks like Kevin Magnussen's probably going to be out without a drive next year unless he can pick up an Alpine drive. But that looks like he's going to be Jack Doohan, the Australian reserve driver that they've got, who is probably going to pit Mick Schumacher to that drive. Audi still have a seat open. Going into, they've obviously picked up Hulkenberg, and there was a social media post by Valtteri Bottas this week of him driving an Audi R8 around the California desert. So maybe that's a bit of a clue as to who's going to be in that seat next, moving forward. And again, Valtteri's not a terrible choice. He's a good, solid driver, and he knows the team, and he'll do the right thing in helping grow the organization and get them to where they need to be. So it's not like they've gone out and shelled loads of cash on that and picked out the biggest name drivers they can get their hands on. They've been smart, they've been sensible, and done the right thing moving forward.
And then of course, Lewis's seat at Mercedes, which is highly rumored to be going to Kimi Antonelli, but that is still 100% official, is it?
No. It's again, it's almost like the Red Bull situation. It's like, do we have anybody else? Is there really anybody else there that we could? Because they probably, in all fairness, Mercedes probably don't want to put him in there straight away. They'd like to get another year of his development in Formula 2, because and this is a topic for a show all by itself, I think. The two guys that are coming up from Formula 2 into Formula 1 next year, in all likelihood, Ollie Behrman and Kimi Antonelli, I mean, they haven't pulled up any trees in Formula 2. It's not like they're winning the championship and running away with it. So, I think they'd like for both of them to develop for another year at least, especially with Antonelli. So, where do we sit with that? Where's the if Mercedes could get an experienced driver on a 1-year contract to hold station, help them develop the car alongside George Russell, and then look into Antonelli, I think they would. But I just don't know who's out there that they could pick. You're not
Vettel.
Well, that's a very romantic notion, isn't it?
Yeah, I see it either. So.
Yeah, but saying that, Schumacher did it, and Schumacher helped lay the foundations to what we see now. A lot of people don't give Michael Schumacher the credit that he deserves for what has gone on at Mercedes in the last 10 years or so. When he came back in 2010, there's 3 seasons between 2010 and 2012. Arguably, he didn't get the results that he would have wanted in terms of pure pace, but he helped lay the groundwork and the foundations for what we saw in the intervening years between 2014 and onwards with Hamilton and Russell winning those championships. Rosberg winning championships. So maybe getting somebody like Seb in with a bit of experience, a bit of nous, but I don't know if he'd do it. I think that he's enjoying his time away too much.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. So, speaking of retired Formula 1 champions, I read a little blurb the other day that Jenson Button's being linked to a possible move to INDYCAR. I'm like, okay, I think we're really, really just stretching and pulling straws out of thin air for that.
He's enjoying his time in doing the WEC stuff and the IMSA stuff. He's he's having a good time there, out of the way, doing his thing. So yeah, I think he's pretty good doing that. I don't think there's any urgency for him to look at doing an IndyCar. I mean, he may do a one-off race just for the hell of it, but
again, symptom of the Olympic break. Writers got it right. So
yeah, exactly.
Even if they have to make it up. So
yep. No, journalists don't make things up. What are you talking about? Good grief.
I saw it on Facebook. It must be true. So, well, I mean, what else we got? We got like 10 minutes to kill, and I'm kind of out of topics.
What else have we had going on? I don't know.
We could talk. We could talk about NASCAR's EV prototype. That's been bouncing since July. We really haven't broached the topic on the show that much, and we were about a little bit off the air earlier. And you're of the opinion that it's probably not going to go much farther than a prototype in as far as becoming an actual NASCAR series.
Yeah. So coming in. Basically, NASCAR, whatever NASCAR does, has to benefit the sport and benefit the OEMs. Your Toyota, Ford, GM, and potentially a fourth, OEM. Their decisions, especially when it comes to powertrain work, have the best interest of these manufacturers. And whilst the EV market is certainly a expanding market, I don't think Chevy now make a regular car that's gas powered. I think most of their cars are now going EV. I think Ford are going that way.
Would have gone that way.
Toyota, we have a slightly different view of the market. We're very much in the hybrid realm. We only have one fully electric car. Now, our sister brand Lexus is a little bit more aggressive on that, but we only have one fully electric vehicle in our range. And do we see the long-term benefit of the investment and time needed to develop an electric series. I don't think there is that desire, to be truthful with you. Not, and this certainly isn't with any inside information or inside knowledge. I know that all of the OEMs put in a considerable amount of money to help develop this car in conjunction with NASCAR. So it's certainly not an afterthought. It's a real program. But you look at it, you could only really run it on a short track or an oval or on a road course. I know it's run at Martinsville, for example, and it was very, very competitive and comparable lap times to a Cup car. We, where does it fit into NASCAR's portfolio? It's a difficult question to answer. You look at the core fan base, and as I mentioned off air, if you take the crowd at Daytona and do a straw poll of how many people own an EV, and then compare that to the general population, I'm sure the percentage of people owning an EV at a NASCAR race will be lower. So it's not a selling tool. It's not a marketing tool. It'd be more of a development tool. And I just don't think there's the desire there. Now, the next generation or the current generation of Cup car was designed in such a way that we can run multiple engine packages in those. They can run hybrids in those. They can run, the small block V8s that we run at the moment. And there's talk of, you're looking at something similar to what IMSA run, where they have a torque control, engine program. So you can produce as much torque as much power out of the engine as you like, but you're limited at the drive shaft or the axles as to how much power you can put down on the road. And I think that's quite appealing to NASCAR, because fundamentally you can put whatever engine you want in that car. As long as it hits the torque curve, you'll be limited to it. So you're not going to gain an advantage from having a big, gas guzzler in there compared to a hybrid engine, as a four-cylinder, turbo hybrid that sits underneath that torque curve. So it's an interesting development, but I'd love to see it. I love the car. I think it's great, but I just don't think it's a long-term program.
Let me throw this out here, right? Because I'm not 100% convinced that the full EV is the future of the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think the these alternative fuel sources like hydrogen cell or some of these supercapacitors are probably in the long run are more environmentally sound and performance-wise than the full EV. And I could be totally off base. Again, EVs, I'm not opposed to them. I've driven one. The technology fascinates me. They're standing. But I just don't know if it's truly the wave of the future. I feel like it's going to be something that comes in is replaced quickly by the next best thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did some work with Volvo in the truck world for a number of years, helping them develop their electric truck, and their long-term aim and image is that their EV program will be split between what you consider a conventional EV at the moment and the hybrid fuel cell platform. The hybrid fuel cell will be for the long-range vehicles that you can go to a gas station and refill in the same way that you can do with a normal internal combustion engine vehicle, and you'll get still the same benefits of zero emissions. I mean, you get emissions, but it's water. So, your output, your motor is still the same, whether the electricity comes from a battery or the fuel cell. And the fuel cell is an area that Toyota's pushing reasonably hard at the moment. We have a commercially available fuel cell vehicle, which I know in California is reasonably popular. The issue with it is getting fuel cell or hydrogen supplies at the gas station. I think talking to somebody that had one, they, when you buy these vehicles, you get an app, and every time hydrogen becomes available, you get a notification on your app, and like suddenly there's a long line of these hydrogen fuel cell cars waiting to top up with hydrogen at the gas station. And we're also we're very active in powering units and devices from hydrogen fuel cells. So there's a lot of IMSA and SRO races that we've been to with a hydrogen fuel cell Tundra this year that powers the paddock on a hydrogen fuel cell. And as I say, I think that's going to be the long-term aim, is a split between your conventional battery power and your hydrogen fuel cell. I say how the actual power gets on the road is going to be the same for an electric motor. It's just how that electricity is generated.
All right, now we've used up our time, so now I can. So now I can thank our sponsors, Louise Torres Multimedia. Louise off tonight photographing a baseball game, Seattle Mariners. So I hope you're having a good time, Louise. And Lee should be back on with us next week. Lee is only works for us every other week, but he'll be back on next week with some NHRA news. Thanks to Netflix for the various trailers and programs they have coming out. The Brad Pitt Formula One movie coming out. Shriners Children's Hospital. And also thanks to Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spotify. Thank you to Sinister One Productions, our fine producer, Keith Hayes. Richard, thanks to you. Appreciate, always enjoyed talking to you. Missed you these last couple of weeks. But most of all, thanks.
Missed you too.
Most of all, thanks to the folks that tune in and watch us on a weekly basis. And until next week, good night.
See you guys.
Thanks for watching Drafting the Circuits. Make sure to follow Drafting the Circuits on Facebook, Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. Drafting the Circuits is a Code Sinister One production.